Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Well. Good evening, Fade to Black. How you doing? Starting off a new week and a brand new month. Wow. It is July. Feels like July outside too, by the way. Today is Monday, July 1st, 2024. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We've got a really cool week. Coming up on Fade to Black tonight. Rex Bear is with us. I think I'm calling this show Leak on Fade. Yeah. The Leak Project tonight on Fade to Black. Tomorrow night, Mark D'Antonio is back with us. Haven't had Mark on the show in probably, it's been a minute, probably 4 or 5 years, and way too long. I should have Mark on the show once a month. But anyway, Mark D'Antonio is with us tomorrow night. And amongst other things, we're going to be talking about ET propulsion systems. You know, he's an astronomer, man, and he's running live cameras from observatories around the country and is constantly looking and seeing strange things in the skies. And he's also one of the best analysts out there that everybody turns to when they have something they need analyzed. He is one of the best, and he's also very, very cool. Tomorrow night, Mark D'Antonio's back with us. And then Wednesday night, Richard Smith is here. We're going to be talking about ancient history. We're going to be talking about the Solomon Temple and other things too as well. This will reach into some ufology and ancient history and stuff, and that'll be Wednesday night. Thursday, of course, is July 4th. Taking the night off, if that's okay with you. Happy 4th of July, everybody, and enjoy those fireworks. I do have 4 major events. I've got a change coming up, but second half of 2024. Next up for me is the 2024 Conscious Awards, hosted by Giorgio Tsoukalos. I'm just the MC. I'm the voice of God from behind the stage, but that is August 3rd through the 4th in Miami, Florida. Links are below for that full weekend of events. Then I've got a cruise to Alaska, Contact at Sea, and that is September 6th through the 13th. And then Egypt in October, 3rd through the 14th. I think that's sold out. You can get on the waiting list. But the big news, I announced this earlier today. I'm going to Peru and Bolivia in November, 15th through the 27th with Brian Forster. It's going to be great. Puma Punku. That has been sold out for 3 months. Brian Forster let me know that 3 spots opened up over the weekend. So get them while they are hot. The links are below. We have 3 openings. Like I said, this has been sold out. This has been sold out for 3, maybe even 4 months. But there's 3 spots open. So if you want to change your life, go to Peru, go to Bolivia with me, Puma Punku. I'm telling you, Oyente, Tambo, Sacsayhuaman, Machu Picchu, the Nazca lines. Come with me to Peru and Bolivia with Brian Forster. We've got 3 spots open. All right. Now, I do want to say, I want to get Rex on the show. So I'm going to make this really quick. I thought the paranormal activity had stopped in my house. All right. Or at least slowed down. And I don't know when it happened. But I came in the studio last night and 2 guitars, that green, oh, you can't see it. There's a green Paul Reed Smith up there in the corner, and below that is an Ibanez hollow body, like ES335. both on the floor in the corner. So, what? And I came in, and I thought the guitarist, pulled out of they're sitting on the floor right there. Yeah. I stood there, the hair stood up, and I'm like, earthquake? No other guitars fell. There's nothing out of place. The bottom of the Paul Reed Smith it's got a little ding in it now. Yeah. So I don't know if it fell and somehow wedged behind and popped the other. I don't know, but they were both on the floor. Yeah, crazy, right? Yeah, I don't know. That poltergeist stuff, when that happens, you're never around to see it. And then you have to tell the stupid story and expect somebody to believe you. I'm just telling you what happened. Just telling you what happened. All right. Let's see what Rex has to say about that. Tonight, Rex Bear is here, the Leak Project. And tonight's show, it's about time I think I'll have to ask Rex this. I think we started talking about doing shows together a year ago. It's taken this long to finally get Rex on the show, but he is here tonight because of what he does and what I do. We can talk about anything tonight, and I'm not even sure where we're going to start, but it's going to be an amazing conversation. And of course, he is an author. He is the host of the Leak Project, and his books are out there down below. If you don't know, his links, Leak Project, are below, and of course, a link to his YouTube channel. Without a great big long introduction, let's just get him in here. Rex Bear, he's right there. Rex,
Jimmy, hey man, thanks for the opportunity.
Man, you've been avoiding me for a year. So
oh man. No, I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, this is great. Now, okay, before I'm so excited, I'm such a fanboy. I can't forget the first time guest disclaimer. So let's get that out of the way. Rex, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, but we're going to end as friends. There you go. Yeah. You have to accept, and then we can move on.
Sounds great. Absolutely. I appreciate that.
I'm not, somebody out there deserves a dinner from me. I don't know who it was, but probably a year ago, I get this email, right, from somebody.
Yeah.
Check this. You got to check this dude out, man. And I get those all the time, but something made me click, and I did. And I was an instant fan. I was like, okay, I got to hang out with this guy, right? I got to, and that's really cool. And I resonated with you right away, and apparently so have a lot of other people. But congratulations on the success of that. And I think that it's proof that people want answers, right? And we can kind of start there. Where did you get the idea for the Leak Project?
First of all, checks in the mail. Thank you. I'll get on that after the podcast. Appreciate it. So, you ever heard of Godlike Productions? Remember Godlike Productions? Go back way back.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we go back like 13 years ago. And there was the whole, like, they started a voice chat thing there. So I started blogging for a while. I got really into it because the kind of stuff I talk about on Leak Project, I've been talking about for, since when wasn't I talking about it? Started blogging about the stuff, and they started the voice thing. And then I would listen, and then I would make my opinions on, like, the voice roundtable. So the people at GLP said, hey, I remember Fen. She's really cool. She's like, why don't you come on over and try it out? And so I was basically co-hosting with, and we, she would bring on guests. We're on coast to coast and stuff. And I just thought, man, this is so cool. It's like, it's a perfect fit. So that's where I really got my start in video and audio stuff. But then I met some people later that were like, you can talk about this stuff on YouTube. and things used to be quite a bit different back then. And so I was like, okay, and got into it. People listened to what I had to say, and it just flourished from there. And so here we are having an amazing conversation.
See, and what I find so cool about that, and again, I'm preaching to the choir, but I want the audience to understand something, because everybody asks me, and they ask you the same thing. So, man, how do you do it? What's the secret? What's the secret? Well, the secret is almost impossible to do. Be yourself. That's the secret. If you can pull the mask off and just be yourself, people resonate with that. And knowing, they get the feeling that you're not trying to fake it, right? That this is just you. And it takes a while, man. You got to get your feet under yourself. But that's why, Rex, you do what is you. And that's and it's hard, man. It's hard. It's so hard. People don't get it, but you just have to be yourself, don't you?
Yeah, be yourself, do what you're passionate about. And if you've got, if you've got a strong work ethic, then it'll come together. And like, this is your 2000 plus, I looked on 2012 was this episode, right? 2012. And I thought, how perfect is that I'm on episode 2012, man. The Mayans were right. It's such a great opportunity.
And so did you have, I think we all probably have gone through it. Did you have an aha moment where you went, okay, all right, something really funky is going on? Did you have an aha moment? Was it something in the sky or something that you read? You confirmed a lie, whatever. Did you have an aha moment?
Every day. I mean, I countless aha moments. Here's the thing. I go back to, I was talking about stuff that is being publicly disclosed now in the internet, on the media, even the mainstream news. I was talking about this stuff 20, 30 years ago when I was just a little kid, and now it's unfolding in front of me. So before the internet was even a thing, I was talking about stuff that people are describing on the internet as far as a control grid behind the scenes in many ways. But it's quite remarkable when you see events unfold that you kind of forecasted or thought about. And you're really good at this too, but I went back and I looked at the predictions that I made for this year at the end of last year. And I've got a timestamp on it. I could do a screen share, or whatever, if you wanted to see it. But at the end of last year, I made 30 predictions on what was going to happen this year and in the near future after that. And almost all of them have happened already. And we're talking like detailed stuff, not just, real vague Nostradamus kind of stuff, like pretty detailed stuff. So I think that's one of the things that for me, I go back and read some of the posts from GLP from 2011, and that stuff is more mainstream now, even though it seemed like it was cutting edge at the time. And the aha moment, the first thing that really got me into this, I think, was an experience that I had when I was just like a toddler, man. I don't even know what it was. And I was talking to my folks about that. They're like, well, maybe you had a high fever. And maybe I did, because I did have a lot of high fevers. But I saw these things, like, I remember I was in my crib and there were these insect things looking at me. It was so weird. And they didn't like take me. They didn't do anything. I just remember looking at them and they were looking at me. So later in life, I thought I had like some life-size Star Wars figures in my room, like from Return of the Jedi, that scene where there are those insects playing instruments with Jabba the Hutt, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what got me into this, if it was that experience that I can still remember like it was yesterday, or if it was something else. But a lot of the, I guess you could say, conspiratorial stuff is now mainstream. And now people like you, like me, and others that talked about this stuff years ago, now we're questioning the mainstream narrative more, and they're coming out and they're the ones that are having the tinfoil hats. And we're like, well, wait a second, So it seems to be right now we're at a time when almost anything can be used as a tool to get somebody to go down a rabbit hole that doesn't really matter, just to keep them confused, to keep them searching for something that isn't really there. And I have realized that a lot of the stuff that I used to think was absolutely legit, that would be considered a conspiracy. And when I use that term, I'm using it as not as the actual definition, but it seems like a lot of it is nonsense. I'm questioning more and more what I used to think was accurate with some of the CT stuff. Like, I'm a firm believer in that we're not alone in the universe, but I think a lot of the stuff that we thought were maybe aliens at one point, were they aliens, or was it like the government or some secret group within the government say, oh, it's aliens, right? Like how come there's so many UFO sightings around military bases? That's, well, UFO, it's got to be around a military base. Well, okay, are they just checking out the military base, or is it like military base stuff? I don't know. I want to get your take on that, because you're in like the heart of it, man.
Yeah, I am in the heart of it. And before we go there, because I want to go there, I want to go straight there. I wanted to share this, my aha moment, because I had always, I'm 60. So I spent many years from when I was like 8 years old. I'm a little older than you, but in 1970, 69, 70, 71, there was a whole slew of really cool science fiction shows that were on, like the TV show UFO or Space 1999, and of course Star Trek, and other stuff, right? Lost in Space, the Jetsons, whatever. So I was into all of that stuff. I didn't really question it. I just enjoyed it, and I researched it a lot. All right. But when I was 21, somebody gives me, up to that point, I was just kind of blasé. I was enjoying the subject, but I hadn't had my head blown off yet. Okay. So I'm 20. Somebody gives me this paperback book, Christian girl. And in this book, which was about secret governments running the world, and it was, in the Catholic Church and the Vatican and so forth. So, but there was this thing in the book that said that the Catholics came and took one of the 10 Commandments out and split another one in two. And I'm like, no, what? You can't do that, right? You can change the Bible. So I'm looking at these 10 Commandments, and I see the one that's been pulled out, and then I'm looking at the new version of it. So I go and I get 2 Bibles from 2 of my friends that night. I'm like knocking on neighbors' doors, and I flipped to the 10 Commandments, and I looked at it, and I went, holy crap. These aren't the same. We're being lied to. I didn't leave my bedroom, Rex, for like 2 weeks. I was, it messed with me. And it was like, the world is not what we're told. And it really, and that was my aha moment. I didn't believe anything anybody said after that. I don't care what it was. Nice. And that was my aha moment. And I've never really looked back. It's hard to gain my trust, right? After something like that, because you're raised a certain way. And
I was raised Christian. I was raised Christian. We went to church most Sundays. Really cool environment. Nothing but good memories. But to break out of that paradigm of the Jesus paradigm, that was very difficult for me. And if that's somebody's belief, I respect it. I've dove very deep into researching Jesus, and I believe absolutely he was a real person, but I don't look at him as the way described in these scriptures that are available to us now. Just studying the scriptures, like you said, there's so many different scriptures, and so many mythologies and different history that predates the scriptures we have access to, where they actually originate from, and could be even older than the Sumerian stuff we have access to, right? The ancient cuneiform stuff, and that isn't even very old. It appears to me there was there was a species, a very high level group of people far before that, but whether or not they're extra, I mean, it's like, Jimmy, it's so, we get these two paradigms, right? There were cavemen and there were aliens. Aliens showed up and they built these megaliths, and the cavemen were hanging out in caves and they were just like looking for food and stuff. And I don't think I buy that necessarily. Sure, maybe they did have abilities to travel the stars, but it appears that whatever it is that created this civilization on Earth, they could be extraterrestrial, probably from Sirius, most likely is where they came from. But I don't think that the cavemen were as barbaric as they teach most people. They seem to be very intelligent. Even these petroglyphs, they say there was no language thousands of years ago. The petroglyphs themselves are language. And these petroglyphs that we're uncovering here in the Four Corners have characteristics of stuff in Egypt and ancient Syria. We found a possible cuneiform tablet this is allegedly, I can't confirm this, but the tablet is available, and I've got a little piece of this tablet. It's supposed to be a Sumerian cuneiform tablet that was found in a mining operation outside of the Grand Canyon, and it was passed on to a family member. And it looks like it's Sumerian. It really does, but I don't know if the tablet is genuinely from that spot or not. If it is, it's amazing because it appears to show Inanna or Isis, which is one of the oldest, female deities that we at least know about in today's age. So it's really amazing, these cultures that seem to be connecting together. But it's also interesting because when you read about some of these, like Noah as an example, is he a Sudra? If you read about him in the book of, I think it's the book of Enoch or one of these scriptures, he's described as having, like, when he's born, he's got fiery eyes. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's alien. Like, what if he's albino? Or what if the people in the Middle East met somebody from Iceland that was like 7 foot tall, this white guy with really red hair? So I think that I'm trying to look at things more realistic now versus maybe 10 years ago. I would have immediately gone to the alien hypothesis, right? I did that though.
Yeah. Right around that age, I was like 20, 21 when my head was messed up, Rex. I was really tripping on the world and I wouldn't leave my room. Well, anyway, so I decided to read the Bible, and I just wanted to cover. So let's just do this thing. Page 1, right?
Yeah. Got
to the end, month later, 2 months later, flipped it over, read it again. And I got about halfway through. And I went, this is about aliens. Right? I had this thing popped in my head. I was 21. And I finished the Bible on that second run, replacing words as I read it with spaceships, aliens, little green men. It didn't matter to me, right? It reads like an Arthur C. Clarke book, and that I was fascinated with that. And so going back to the Sumerian tablets, and the Bible, and even Revelation, when you get to the end, when you read Revelation, really read it.
Dozens of times.
It's an alien invasion story. But anyway, it's the
I mean, it sounds like a Borg cube or some type of the New Jerusalem that descends from heaven with the sun. But you know what? It's so massive that if it was to land on Earth, I mean, 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles, I don't know if Earth could sustain something like that. I mean, it's massive, and it does sound like a spaceship. And it's interesting because, like the Ezekiel's will, some people think that could be an extraterrestrial craft. But if you look at it astro-theologically, it could also represent the zodiac. A lot of this stuff in the Bible, you can link to a certain zodiac symbol, which is fascinating. And it makes more sense when you read about the Virgin being Virgo, or you read about the lion, like Gilgamesh, right? Gilgamesh has to fight off the lion. He has to fight off the scorpion. He has to fight off the bull. Those are all different representations of the zodiac. The bull would be Taurus. The lion would be Leo. The scorpion would be Scorpio. And a lot of the Bible itself is adopting and taking pieces of the Sumerian tablets and kind of adopting it into their scriptures. So, I mean, I think they've mixed. Sometimes we could be mixing things up with extraterrestrials, which could be the zodiac, and maybe other times we're mixing the zodiac with something that could be extraterrestrial. It would be nice if we would get access to the Vatican archives. There was that recent Harvard study published and released from Avi Loeb, and they were describing how there could already be super terrestrials or ultra terrestrials on Earth right now, which would make a lot more sense. A breakaway civilization that survived through cataclysms, and then people have to people forget. Like, I'm thinking about my dad. My dad is genius. He knows so much about everything, and when he moves on, it would take 50 people to replace what he knows. So imagine, it's his generation. So imagine people that their entire civilizations pass, and then they have to rebuild. They lose all that information, and then they have to find a way to build back and start over.
How do you? Well, okay. Let me stop you there, because you bring up a really good point. Gilgamesh, the Sumerian tablets, and the Bible, and as far back as, the Old Testament, right? As far back as we can go, and that includes India. You can't leave India out, and other cultures around the world. But they didn't have that kind of imagination, right? To make it up, to make it all up. There's a foundation for all of that. And when you look at the accounts of the Anunnaki or the Watchers in the Bible, if you take that literally, that's E.T., right? The Anunnaki, the Sumerians didn't mess around with that, right? They were very direct. It doesn't seem, they didn't have what you and I have, like the Marvel universe, right? We've got that, right? We can make up whatever we want to make up. It's everywhere on TV, but they didn't have that. So it must be rooted somewhere.
I mean, I don't know, because there was just a article released on a Greek philosopher that was talking about the gods of Greece and how they were basically Marvel characters. They were saying stuff about these gods that they could do things and were doing things that there's no way that they were doing. But
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Back then, what were they basing? No. I'm saying back then, what were they basing it on? Today, we can base it on.
Well, like, for example, if like the bumblebee in Utah, it's the bumblebee state, right? That's a star cluster. It's the bee cluster. It represents like the high.
Oh, you locked up, Rex. You locked up. See, that's what happens when you start talking about Utah. Right there.
You there?
Okay. Are you back?
I'm right here. The Anunnaki are messing with us.
Okay. See, okay. Okay. I'll tell you where you froze up.
Okay.
The Beehive
State, Utah.
Okay. Right.
That's a star cluster, and one of the stars, there's a bee cluster that's called the Beehive Cluster. So it's a symbol of the stars. It represents the hive mind. Many of the symbols in today's mystery schools that date back before Egypt, it is connected to the stars, the planets. So when we oftentimes read about the gods, it's sometimes interchangeable. Are they talking about a specific deity? Are they talking about an extraterrestrial? Are they talking about a planet? But the way that these scriptures are written out is you can plug and play almost any of them. But one thing you can do for sure is almost all of these scriptures you can link to the zodiac will. So I'm not discrediting the ET hypothesis here. So stick with me. Many of the scriptures are referencing, it's almost like an old farmer's almanac when it talks about certain events, and they turn them into plays. Give you an example, the squatter man. Do you know what the squatter man is?
I do.
It's that petroglyph. There's tons of them in California. They've got them in the Four Corners. They've found them all over the world. And the squatter man, it's the symbol where there's this guy going like this. He's basically got his hands up like this, and it's just real archaic. But that symbol itself, most likely, was seen in the skies as some type of, whether it was a plasma event, whether it was some type of planetary alignment, but a huge event took place. People around the world saw it. They were so amazed by it that they etched it in stone because they didn't necessarily know what it was. There were catastrophic events that took place during that time, wiping out entire civilizations. People had to literally hide underground and hide in the caves. So they looked at that like a god, like, oh my gosh, man, we're gonna have to sacrifice such and such or do this to appease the gods so that it won't destroy us. That's what it appears some of these symbols represent, these major events that took place. Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Anthony Perrott. He still might be an engineer at Los Alamos, where he was doing plasma experiments, not for petroglyphs for any reason. They were doing plasma experiments in a laboratory that mimic these petroglyphs that we see carved in stone. And it's a very strong possibility that the atmosphere itself was creating these anomalies in the skies, and the people that saw that deified them, turned them into gods, turned them into demons, turned them into certain entities because of certain events that took place. For example, you brought up Marvel characters. Let's say a major cataclysm takes place on Earth, wipes out almost everything. And 1,000 years later, people start to rebuild, and there's archaeologists, schools are starting up again. People are going out and exploring, but they don't really know what happened. They kind of have amnesia. They don't really know. They just have some stories or some things here and there. And then they find these comic books, and there's these Marvel characters, and they're like, oh my gosh, look at what they can do. This guy appears to be named Thanos, and he's got this glove, and he snaps his fingers and he wipes out half the population. Would we think, or would they think that was an extraterrestrial or a god? Or, I mean, there was plays back then, and that's all they really had access to was the stars. That was their television set, is what I'm saying. As far as entertainment goes, their television set, their big screen TV, their smartphone was the sky, and they didn't have the light pollution. The stars, that would have. You've got like Orion, right? The hunter, and you've got his belt that lines up to the pyramids, the three major pyramids of Egypt. Now, there's a very strong possibility that those pyramids themselves were some type of energy source. Like they were actually producing energy. They might have even been stargates. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, can I prove that? No. But man, that stuff in Egypt, the luxury and the detail and the way that they're built, like you've been there, man. I'm just having photos here. That's like surreal. That does not seem like we were building that stuff. That seems alien. It's just so far out there. But I think that the blueprints have got to be etched in those hieroglyphics. I think that they're telling us stuff there. I don't think that. Like when next time you go out there, man, look at that stuff literal, because like you probably are.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I do. This would be my third trip in 3 years and a couple of months. And have you seen, what's it called? Have you seen Godzilla versus Kong? Have you seen it? It just came out last week.
Previous one, not the new one. I saw the one.
Okay, it just came out last week, right?
Haven't seen it.
Go and watch. Pretty cool. It's great. But spoiler alert: they level Giza. They take it all out, man. They take it all out. They hold nothing back. So when they start fighting these two,
that's not symbolic.
Yeah. When they start fighting, the first pyramid that goes, the small one, Menkara, right? Okay. And it's right. I thought, dude, you can't do that, right? The next thing you know, Great Sphinx, right? Khafre, and then the Great Pyramid got cut in half by a laser. Just, and I was like, oh my Godzilla, the Godzilla nuclear breath. It was, they leveled Giza. They leveled Giza in the new movie. You got to watch it. I'm sorry, everybody. You know what? It's worth the price of admission just to see Giza leveled. But But staying on that for a second, how do you go? And I understand the zodiac part. I totally get that. And you've got that represented all around the world. Every culture did that. But how do you go from that and a relationship to the stars to Nibiru, Inky, Enlil, clones, slave races, gold for atmospheres, planets that rotate and orbit every 3,700 years? That's a whole nother set of things that has, that's where does that come from? What's that based on?
I've studied that in depth, and I haven't found anything else. And I've read through at least 100 of the tablets. Oxford's website, you can read many of the tablets that they translated. They found a huge cache in Iraq that are estimated to be between 3,500 and 5,000 years old. I'm sorry, 3,500 and 5,000 BC. I don't see anything else. Now, look, I'm not saying this isn't true. So, for people out there that believe in Zachariah Sitchin's translations 100%, I respect that. That's fine. He could be right. I haven't found anything outside of the Nibiru statements that say exactly what it is. Now, there's Nibiru in some tablets, but that's a capital in Iraq, like not Nibiru, Nibru. There's Enki's journey to Nibru and a couple other journeys to Nibru that you can read that are available, translated to English. Now, one thing, and that's the whole, it's 3,600 years, I think is what you're referring to. And the SARS, if you go to the Sumerian king list, that's available through, that's at the British Museum, it does show about 281,000 plus years worth of kingship. And it describes these kings that rule for a certain amount of SARS. A SAR is 3,600 years. Zachariah Sitchin claims that 3,600 years is how often this planet Nibiru returns. Nibiru does. Now, there are, I think in Epic of Gilgamesh, there's a description of Nibiru, actually.
There is. It is specifically mentioned, yes.
But Nibiru itself means the crossing. So it does, at least that we know, outside of Zachariah Sitchin's translations, and there might be some other people that translate it to be a planet, but it means the crossing. Some people have said it's the crossing of Jupiter. Some people have claimed it's Saturn. To me, I find it fascinating because the first kings do rule for X amount of SARS, like a certain amount of SARS. So that is a really key point, that 3,600 year cycle. Now, I also find it interesting that gold. So first of all, here's a parallel, right? Our planet, they have admitted we are geoengineering. We're putting stuff deep into the atmosphere in attempts to block the sun, the cosmic radiation, etc. But it's more like aluminum and barium and other stuff. Gold being used as some type of blocking or protectant from radiation, that might work better. So I could see that. But I also thought to myself, okay, gold mining, it's very difficult. Mining in general is very difficult. Have you seen the pictures from people in the 1800s that are put in these little cages and they're down there? I mean, it sucks, man. I wouldn't want to do it. It's terrible. It's a tough gig. It's a tough gig. So I could understand if you're one of the gods that you would want to create somebody else to do the work for you. But if they have the ability to travel the stars, now this is a hypothetical, this is just maybe, but wouldn't they have the ability to create gold with like alchemy? Wouldn't it be just as easy to create gold as it would be to travel to different planets? I don't know. Maybe not. I think that there's more than just the mining the gold thing. For example, Enki and Ninmah. It's one of my favorite tablets. You can read it right now. Go to Oxford's website. I'll leave the link. It's called Enki and Ninmah, and it describes specifically how Enki he's woken up to create replacements to do the work for the gods. His mom's like, look, you need to wake up. You need to get the gods are working too hard. Now, I'm talking little g here, folks. I'm not talking the creator of the universe. It's a title. There are many gods. And so he just, okay, I'm going to make people. So him and Ninmah get together, and it sounds like they're in a laboratory, and it sounds like they're like literally getting drunk and making people along the way. Enki and Ninmah are drinking beer and making people. Now, that still happens today, right? I mean, maybe you were made that way. I don't know. Maybe I was made that way. Mom, Dad, they had a couple drinks. I'm joking, folks. Do not drink.
No, that was in the back
Dad.
of a 57 Chevy at the drive-in in North Chicago, Illinois. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right about that. I want you to continue. I just wanted to jump in with one thing. When Sitchin aside and everything else aside, I have read the hard translations. I've done the lookups. I've got the translators. I've used the University of Chicago, Oxford's as well. Yeah. And I've looked up statements and stuff. Now, the core of the story is all there. There's some stuff that I think Sitchin was very liberal with. Artistic license. Let's go that way. But the core of the story itself is there. But the part for me that gets funky is that Homo sapien sapien just appeared 200,000 years ago. We've got no fossil record. We don't have an answer for that. We don't have anything. And it lines up. Okay.
Yeah.
But it lines up with the Sumerian tablets. And that's the part for me that it's like maybe there is something to this because of this 200,000 year number keeps popping up. And that's for me, it feels, I'm not saying it's confirmation, but I've definitely got my mind open to this. When science and anthropology says 200,000 years for Homo sapiens sapiens, and you've got the Sumerian tablets talking about cloning humans at the exact same time. Very strange.
Well, can we verify that for sure on the dates, though? Because if you go back and you look at the records of cosmology, if you look at the amount of radiation that was coming in at that point, there was a lot more there were spikes of radiation at that time. So, and look, first of all, I got to say, I think that is one of my theories. Like I'm going to put that up there at the top of the list with a couple other theories, as far as the hypothesis that there is a highly advanced race of beings that came to Earth and they genetically tampered with Earth people. That's one of my top two theories. But there's also another valid theory, which I think is that doesn't get enough credit, but I think is really incredible. Around that exact same time, and you can look at the ice core samples on this, there was like the atmosphere weakened, so we got a lot more cosmic rays and a lot more cosmic radiation in. So there was an influx of new species, and as well as a lot of species died off, but then just as many or more new evolution. And we're directly connected to the sun itself, the cosmic evolution. So I think that there's also a lot of cosmic evolution that plays with our genealogy to some degree.
I think it's a definite combination of both, because this is why I'm so glad that you're on the show, because I too get caught up in, I think that I believe firmly in a lot of different ideas. I don't believe in just one. Panspermia and the idea of RNA and amino acids on meteorites floating around the universe, which is fact. That's a fact, that it's not just made up stuff. RNA, right? We're talking about RNA surviving in the vacuum of space on the backs of meteorites that are landing on this planet, and we're finding the fundamental sugars of life. Now, hold on a minute, right? It's just like, wait a minute here. So we have that too as well. Cool. Yeah. And that would explain when we have these sudden bursts, which is what you're alluding to. And I love that. These sudden bursts of species. I mean, it's just like a farmer Johnny Appleseed, right? Just walking around throwing seeds out. And we have this huge, after these mass extinction events, and then suddenly we've got 150,000 brand new species in a couple of thousand years, and which blows Darwin's theories completely out of the water. Not millions of years. It's like overnight. So was it just brought here on the backs of meteorites? Possibly. Alien interference? Possibly. How about both? What's wrong with that?
No, you're absolutely right. Most people are like, I'm picking either this or that. Well, it's probably both. Or there's a lot more to the story. For example, the moon in and of itself, you want to go down the whole Anunnaki interdimensional type 2 civilization. I wouldn't be surprised if the moon itself is literally some type of ark, like the original ark, like a planet seeder. Like it's there, so now we can live here in the way that we do. It looks like it's been blown to smithereens multiple times. Maybe it's been used before. Maybe those giant maskins on the back itself are some type of like thrusters that allows it to be exactly where it is.
I like where you're going.
I mean, it's made out of titanium alloy on the outside. It rings like a bell. It has to be there for us to live the way that we do. So, and then that new article that came out recently where the astronomers said they think that they found some possible Dyson spheres within our galaxy. I mean, these are they're putting this out in the mainstream. There was an
seven of them. Yeah.
Oh, and Jimmy, there was also a white paper that didn't get peer reviewed, but it was by the top guy of Aero and Avi Loeb, the professor at Harvard. And they were talking about how here's the dot that I connected just recently. You guys, I want to share this with you. This is incredible. So in my mind, you might like it. It's kind of cool. So Oumuamua 2017, Oumuamua was spotted. The news breaks. Oh, there's this interstellar object coming in the solar system, right? The artist rendition of it, though, looks like a flying space turd. So you're like, oh, it looks like it's a floating turd in space. That's not what it really looks like, folks. That's the artist rendition of it. But anyway, Oumuamua means scout. So when there was a paper that came out that said by Avi Loeb and the head guy of Aero at the time, saying that is most likely, from what I gathered, and I just read it, that's like some type of actual craft. And it released these Dandelion drones, basically.
Yeah, some probes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when Avi Loeb went out there recently, about a year or so ago, and they picked something up from the ocean, that's what they were going out there looking for. And this was right around the time this was right before or right after, I think it was right before the footage was released and made publicly available, not released, but made publicly available at it was like the New York Times, the New York Post, or whatever.
Yeah. So Oumuamua was seen in October of 2017. Mm-hmm. The New York Times article that you're referring to was 2 months later, December 17th, 2017. And so it was like it was raining UFOs at the end of 2017 for sure.
Thank you for that. Because I'm so glad you remembered that. You know what that tells me in my mind? My mind connects that was like a controlled release. They see this thing coming into our solar system, the possible craft that's releasing these little, drones and scouts. And so they're like, well, we better get on this. We better have complete control of the media and get out on this before anybody else does. So then let's release this little footage, and then let's come out with the Space Force after publicly. It's kind of like Roswell. Roswell takes place, 2 months before the Air Force is created, the event Roswell. And then
the CIA a couple months later.
Yeah. So I'm starting to think that these things are happening at a control. They realize this thing's coming in. And so they're like, oh, well, we better have some drip disclosure now in case these things do decide to make themselves known. Then you had, who else? Amy Shed comes out and says we're working with them in Mars. And these are the people that would know.
Well, before we get to the break, you've been at this as long as I have. Do you miss the old days when we had to fight the man to get recognized? And now the man is talking in our little private secret world where we had, it is now out in the open. I kind of miss the old days because now the man is trying to be our friend, and it feels weird.
It feels like corporate took over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's enough corporations out there, man. We still need some grassroots people like you, man. So I like the grassroots. I'll tell you this much though. If you've been doing this for 10 years and you still think the same thing about aliens that you did 10 years ago, I would question that. I've changed so much in 10 years, man. I've learned so much in 10 years and think so much. Like, you probably think different than you did 10 years ago, don't you?
100%. 100%. I remember, okay, we'll go on the Wayback Machine, Godlike Productions. And there was another, I'll think of the group in a second. It was like
Above Top Secret.
It might have been Above Top. One of them, 1994.
Oh,
right?
that's
94.
before. Okay.
Okay, 94, 95. Like right in there. So, and I'm posting on this news group and we're going back and forth and stuff. And I remember this long thread that I started, and we didn't call them threads back then, but whatever, So anyway, it's a long thing. And I said, and this was where my head was. I said, there must be a traffic jam of spaceships like the 405 freeway in Los Angeles at rush hour. That was my comment, right? And the thread just took off from there and everybody commenting about it. And the reason why I wrote that was because I was still, this is 20 years ago, and I've changed immensely since then, but I was still right there, man. The original UFO hypothesis, right? Rivets, metal ship, little green dude steering it across the universe and coming here to planet Earth for some strange reason. And with all of the eyewitnesses, Rex, and all of the photo and all of the everything that and stuff that I have seen, that there must be literally a cosmic highway that's bumper to bumper. And that may have, those types of craft do get here. Yes. But that ain't all there is. There's all kinds of ways to travel the stars. There's all kinds of ways to get here. There's so much life. In 1995, when I wrote that article, Rex, there weren't any exoplanets yet. Right? Now, every star's got a planet, at least. But back then, when I wrote that, we were still all there was. Right? So, yeah, I've completely evolved. In fact, I'm more woo now than I was then.
You just made me think of something. Universe as big as it is, why aren't we seeing a UFO highway, right? Well, maybe it's because whatever event takes place, these resets, it's not just on Earth, it's the entire universe. So it's like a balance, checks and balances. So, you've got Star Wars just as an idea, or the Harkonnen in Dune. So a species, a race, a civilization doesn't become so powerful that they eventually destroy the universe and consume themselves. Some type of reset. Because
it's kind of like Thanos. Wow. Kind of like Thanos. But if you also that cosmic highway or whatever we want to call it, if you go, especially in the first Dune movie, well, also in the original books, right? But in the first Dune movie, when they fold space for the first time, and the ship appears outside of Arrakis just before dude comes down, right? You saw what it does. It just appears. It doesn't cruise up, right? It's not like the Imperial Star Cruiser in Star Wars. It takes 5 minutes to pass the screen.
Right.
No, it just appears. So we're out there. One of the skeptics' statements will always be, we don't see any evidence of things traveling out there. Why do you got to think like us? Right? You got to think like them. They're doing it in a way that we don't understand. Of course, we're not going to see them. Of course, they're just going to appear in the sky and disappear in the sky, because that's what they should do. So now how they're doing it, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and like, maybe that's why sometimes we think they're interdimensional, but are they interdimensional, or is it just the technology that gives them interdimensional capabilities at that time?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So yes, the answer for me to that is yes on both counts. All right. So interdimensional can also be just out of frequency. Right. Yeah. So some people see it as traveling, appearing, but it just may be that we're only seeing what we're seeing because we're at this frequency at this time in this place. But if we go a frequency off in either direction, you and I disappear. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Think about that, right? We're gone. We're here physically, but we don't see each other. That's bizarro world. And that's why. Have you seen, oh man, what's it called? The movie Lucy. You've seen Lucy. Okay. Oh, yeah. Now, Luc Besson, who directed that, Fifth Element and The Professional, everything Luke does is just amazing.
Yeah.
But Lucy, if you think about it, is very possible. If you think about it, just in concept, he figures out that time is the secret to life and the universe, right? She has that moment, Scarlett Johansson. Oh, it's time. What does she do? She goes back in time, goes up to Lucy, the ape, who is drinking water, right? And she touches the finger of Lucy, transfers knowledge. Now, is that? Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. What's cool. Wrong with thinking that way? Kind of like Arthur C. Clarke and the monolith, and that whole concept.
I saw the one in Utah, the first one before it.
Did you?
Yeah, I got footage of it. I went out there, saw it. The next day, it disappeared. And no, it wasn't me that took it, folks. They got the guy that took it. They're like, dude, it's an alien monolith. I get out there, I see these like saw marks in the. I'm like, yeah, he stopped at Ace and picked up a saw to put it in the. I mean, I just see what I mean. That's like one of those things when you actually go there and see it. Sometimes it's really cool and it's amazing, but it's not like alien.
It's not alien. It wasn't alien. I heard there were rivets in that one in Utah. Oh, you froze up, Rex.
Hello.
Okay, now you're unfrozen. Okay, you're unfrozen. Did you see rivets in the one in Utah?
Dude, yeah. And not only that, I saw the cut marks where they had like a concrete saw in the rocks. I'm like, it's really cool, but I don't think aliens stopped at Ace Hardware and picked up a concrete saw to put it in.
Diamond tip cutting wheel. That is, I do find it strange that they haven't caught the person or persons. I think it's an art project. It's some artist.
It's cool. It's really cool.
It's very cool.
It captures the minds of people, right? Because there's millions of people out there that literally believe an alien showed up and popped that right there. And then it's just going to change their life, man. They're going to have a blast. So it's cool. It's cool. I'm okay with that if somebody wants to think that, but that's why I like to go out and do the research. Somebody sent me a photograph from Google Maps where it looked like there was this entrance to some temple in the Grand Canyon, and people were blown away. It got like tens of thousands of views, multiple channels. So I'm like, I'm going to go out there. It gave me an excuse to go out there. So I grabbed my friend Shondell. We go out there and we capture, like, it was like a needle in a haystack, Jimmy, needle in a haystack. We got it. And it was some really cool rocks, but it wasn't an entrance to an Indian temple or a Buddhist temple, but it was really cool. They didn't talk about that after anyway, but yeah.
You didn't get arrested? Well, there is a part of Grand Canyon. You and I should take our Jeeps out there. All right. Take all our gear and the two of us go out there. There is a section. I've got bail money. Do you have bail money? Are you good?
Yep.
You got bail money? Okay. So there's a section of Grand Canyon that is restricted.
Not if you're Navajo. One of my best friends is Navajo. We're going to go with, go with Sondale.
Well, that's possible, but I can tell you right now, I don't look Navajo.
But he is. So we go with him and we're okay because we have a Navajo guide, is what I'm saying. I've done this before. Are you talking about the Kincaid Cave? Because I know the spot on the rim where it allegedly is, and it's on Navajo land, and I would love to take you out there.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
Let's go. I want to get to the bottom. That's one of, there are, I have a few things on my bucket list, right? And there's no gray area, right? We have two possibilities here. One, the cave exists and it had artifacts. The artifacts were retrieved. It was written about and reported about in papers. Smithsonian showed up and shut everything down. That's one possibility. The other possibility is you had somebody writing a fake article for sensationalism, right? That's it. That's the only two possibilities. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to go find out for myself and see if we can get to the bottom of this. So yeah, let's do it.
I would love to. And I got to thank Jim Wills for the Jim and Scott Wolters were at this location, and that was on America Unearthed or something several years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I went out there with Jim, and so I know exactly where it is. Then I went out there again with my friend Shondell, and we actually had and something happened there that maybe I could share it with you off air first to see if we could talk about it on air. But yeah, we did have something happen there, and I know exactly where it is. And if you have a Navajo guide, you're good. We had a Black Hawk fly over us also. I got that on film. That was cool.
Okay, let's take Rex. Stay right there. Let's take our break. This is Fade to Black tonight. It's Leak to Black with Rex Bear. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Hi, this is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I want to invite you to come to Alaska with me on the Contact at Sea cruise. It is this September 6th through the 13th, 2024. We are on the largest ship in the Pacific Ocean. That's right, the Ovation of the Seas. It's an amazing cruise, and a ship this big is so much fun. We've got lots of activities and lots of great speakers. We are leaving from Seattle to Sitka, Alaska, Skagway, Juneau. We're going to end the cruise in Victoria, BC, and arrive in Seattle on September 13th. We've got a lot of amazing speakers, including we've got Seth Showstack, Scott Walter, Stephen Bassett, Daniel Sheehan, Daryl Sims, Mas Adi, Vivian Chavez, Grant Cameron, Geraldine Orozco, Misha Johnston, and Melanie Aguirre, and a whole lot more. all you have to do is go to divinetravels.com. You can also go to contact@sea.com. Both are going to take you to a full event schedule. You can check in, look at the boat, get things ready to go, and maybe get a cabin with a balcony. That's what I'm talking about. Come see the whales. Come check it all out. Let's go to Alaska this September 6th through the 13th, 2024 with me, Jimmy Church. Now, when you head to divinetravels.com or contact@sea.com and get signed up, you know what? Use my name, Jimmy Church. I'll see you there September 6th through the 13th, 2024. Let's go to Alaska. This is Jimmy Church. Please visit and explore Egypt this October 3rd through the 14th, 2024 with Billy, Elizabeth, myself, and very special guest and the #1 podcaster in the world, Sean Kelly. It's simple to do. Just go to forbiddenknowledge.com and click on upcoming tours, or click on the link below. We'll see you there. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's fade to black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter @JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Oh, was I up on the screen the whole time? Did everybody see me walking around the studio? I didn't pull myself out. I went over, I just noticed I'm still on the screen. I went over and I picked up, this is the PRS that fell. And I just went over and I'm just so sad. So it got dented. Check this out. Let's see. Let me see if I can show this to you. It got dented right here. Look at that. It just fell. I don't know what to make of it. I don't. I was so perplexed just to look and to see nothing. Just the guitars were down. The bottom guitar only fell about that far, so it got. But that PRS has got a chunk. Ugh. Our guest tonight, Rex Bear, and the Leak Project. Rex, I'm curious as to what you want to discuss off the air to see if we could talk about it on the air. Does it involve any?
I'll just tell you. Okay, so I went out there and I had a aerial camera. Let's just say I hooked a GoPro up to a balloon. Yeah, we'll just say that. And it got shot down on the way back, basically, by something that wasn't there. Like, it was weird. It just glitched out when it. So I wanted to see. I'm at the rim, right? I'm at the rim, and then there's 3,500 feet straight down to the river. And if you want to go to the Kincaid Cave where it allegedly is, I know exactly where the cave allegedly is. You could either take a raft in there, but if you take a raft in there, you're going to have to plan a 21-day trip. You're going to have to get the permit. You're going to have food and all sorts of stuff while you're in there. You're not getting out for at least 21 days. It's insane. Or you have to get a native that has access to a boat out there, which is difficult. Or you can go to the rim if you know the location, and you can either have some type of balloon with the GoPro attached to it and anyway, you know where I'm going with this. But you can. I didn't see any, man. I scanned that area and it could be there, but I didn't see it. But what did happen is when I brought this thing back and it's coming back normally, something tagged it to where it didn't just fall down, like it slammed down. Like I was like, what the hell just happened? And some really supernatural stuff happened to Jim while he was out there. And I had some amazing experience. In particular, I had a very amazing experience happen to me that was spiritual after the fact in Page, Arizona, which was really interesting. But we also went to another place out there called Marble Canyon, which is kind of on the outskirts. And there's a road I know out there that you can actually go onto if you've got a high clearance vehicle and you're not breaking any laws or anything. You just have to stay on the road. And you can take that road out to the canyon itself. And there's some, what appears to be not only some old like clocks, like solar clocks, but some interesting markings and a possible cave in that area. And we got followed when we left that location. I was with a couple of my friends. We ended up getting there were people waiting for us when we got to the parking lot outside of there, which was miles away. It was at one of the parking lots by the bridge when you get into that area. And it was late at night. We get into the parking lot. We're talking for about 15, 20 minutes. There's only one other car there. Several people look like they're in their mid 20s to late 20s, maybe. And they were all just kind of standing around the car, like playing on their phone, acting like nothing was going on. We were out there for about 15 or so minutes, and then we realized they were kind of watching us. And then we got in the car, and we were getting ready to go. They get in the car, but then we stay there for a little bit longer. They basically waited until we left to follow us out. It was really weird. I'll have to share the footage with you. I got some footage of that place that was pretty remarkable, man. But there's something out there. There's definitely something out there. What it is, I don't know. I've got another friend that's a Hopi elder, a very nice guy. He talks about some African artifacts that they found out there, but he says that cave itself is actually was a hoax. So I don't know. But I went out there, and I'll take you out there, and we'll spend some time out there, and we may have a Black Hawk helicopter fly over us like it did last time.
Probably. I have. We're going to do it. By the way.
Good.
Okay. So
Good.
that's
Okay.
it. Let's do it. I was with I ride my Harley all over the desert, and I wind up in this spot, and I take a break. I'm drinking some water, and another Harley pulls in. Guy riding by himself pulls up next to me. We start talking, and cool areas to go and check out. And he goes, "Hey man, have you been to the?" I have the name of it, but it's something like this. Have you been to the McLaughlin Road? I said, no, what is it? He goes, dude, it's a road that's a cave that this guy around the turn of the century, around 1900, decided to carve a tunnel through a mountain for the wagons to go through instead of going over the mountain. I said, what? Right? He goes, it's 1.5 miles long into the mountain, and then it ends. He gave up. I said, how big is it? He goes, you can drive a car in. I said, where is it? He goes, it's 20 miles. You head up just past China Lake and look it up on the internet. And I'm looking it up, and sure enough, it's 1.5 miles that is wide open. And the family that owned it, now here's the crazy part about this. It's supposed to be like crazy active. And I said, what do you mean active? He goes, man, just go with friends. Right? Go with friends. It's 1.5 miles deep. And you can go to the end, but it's scary as hell. And it's big. It's big enough for a covered wagon, like a car. It's a tunnel, 1.5 miles deep. And he said it's spiritual, it's crazy, it's haunted. And so that's one of the road trips I've got planned. I want to go out and find this cave that this guy tried a tunnel through a mountain for a shortcut for like the gold miners back in the day. Isn't that nuts? Cool. And I had no idea. What do you make of, as you're connecting the dots, when I say something like, my guitars fell off the wall? I didn't see it. I just found them on the floor. But when you hear stories like that, maybe you've experienced them yourself. What do you think is the causality here? That something is going to, it could have been an earthquake or something when, I didn't hear about any. I don't know. Could be that there, but I don't know what the explanation is. All I have is a guitar with a chunk of wood out of the bottom of it now. What do you make of that?
Well, if it was some type of ghostly activity, it would appear that that's the one that it wanted. So why would it want that one? And then I would look into that right. Model specific and that color, and I would see if there was something that connected the dots. That's the first thing that gets my mind going. Like if it wasn't an earthquake, if it didn't just fall, like because maybe there was something that caused a vibration or something like that. Why in particular is it that one? Because it's interesting. There would be something more to that. I would look for like the second and third level on that because
yeah. It's a good way of thinking. I didn't hear it, right? So I don't know when it happened. I just know I came in last night and they were on the floor. I just hung them back up, right? See, that's right. The crazy thing is that it's not like something, you know what I mean? They pulled out of the wall and whatever.
Something's trying to get your attention.
I didn't hear it, so I don't know. And if I would have heard it, I might have canceled the shows this week. Just like that. But it's my feeling, and this is my question for you, is that we're going to figure something out. We will, right? We will. We'll figure something, and then I think we're going to find out that it's all the same thing. Ghost, UFOs, right? The paranormal, the supernatural. It's going to be something science, conscious. We're going to figure. It's all going to be connected. Something's going to explain all of this phenomena. What do you think about that? Do you think it's just all one thing that we just haven't figured out yet?
No, I don't. I know, like Nathaniel Gillis, he's done a lot of research into demonology. I really like him a lot, and he's been following this research about they get these in these experiments, these controlled experiments. They'll grab like warlocks and witches and do a black magic, and they summon these energies that they somehow measure, and it all appears to be the same type of energy. So his theory is it's all kind of the same thing. Could be the same entity, and could be, but the universe is a pretty big place, and I don't think that whoever made some of these megaliths came out of like the realm that we would consider the spirit realm and the way that we perceive it with this non-physical locality. I think that's far different. I think that there's too much evidence to suggest otherwise. However, a lot of stuff could possibly be connected to that. It's spirit first, then physical. And as you brought up, we're only seeing 0.01% of the electromagnetic light spectrum anyway. You're a musician. We hear a very limited amount of sound as well, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz if we're lucky. So that's if you've got great hearing. They could be all around us. Energies could be all around us. And evolution could also give certain beings the ability to be at different locations at once or physically manifest at once, kind of like the Lucy thing that at the film at the end, she's everywhere. She goes everywhere.
Well, not to stay on that movie, but we're going to stay on that movie for a second because I just had on Andrew Gallimore, and if you haven't had him on your show, you need to talk to him. He's just amazing. And so to have a PhD brain doctor, right, talking
he's the
about
DMT guy, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's cool. Yeah.
He's way cool. By the way, I've done it twice. DMT.
Oh, you have? Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It's the key. It's a key. It's not a drug. It's a key. It's not a drug. It's not. The way that Gallimore. Okay, so staying on this, back to Lucy, but Gallimore is involved with this and these concepts. That Gallimore and I were talking about how much of our brain that we use, right? Which is what Lucy is based on, right? 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%. Why develop a brain that we don't use? It's a very confusing. Why would nature do that? Well, no, I don't think that's the case. I think that we did use it. We stopped using it. Right? That's my take on it. And when we meet ET and he steps off the ship, I think that's one of the first things that we're going to find out. That there's a whole nother thing out there that we've just got amnesia about. We stopped using it. And I think the ancients knew all about it. We see it everywhere.
Did I freeze up again?
Yeah, you're unfrozen now.
I am. Okay, because I'm frozen on my side. Well, maybe we do use more of our brain than they give us credit for, and the way that they measure it. Maybe certain parts of our brain are doing things subconsciously that it needs to be there. It doesn't look like it's actually doing anything, but it is. I think a lot of us use more of our brain than others. Oh, hello.
Oh, now you did freeze.
Are you there?
Okay, now you're back.
Hello. How's it going? Man, what I thought I had 5G here, man. I got all bars, 5G. That's weird. I don't even see myself on the screen. Can you see me?
You're frozen on the screen, but we have your audio. Oh,
Let's
now you okay, you disappeared and came back.
I thought if I turned off my camera and turned it back on, it would help, but that's not.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, we've got
well,
your
you don't need to
audio.
see me anyway.
Well,
Yeah. So where were we?
brain capacity. Well,
Yeah,
okay. So let me ask you a more direct question with this. When we see something ancient like Göbekli Tepe or Giza in Egypt or Peru or all over the United States, North, Central, South America, where we see evidence of abilities that allegedly Stone Age man had. Well, they were smart enough to do that, but yet you want to tell us that they were hunter gatherers? That doesn't make any sense. So maybe they did use more of their brain back then, and something since then has gotten in the way, and we stopped using it.
Well, exactly. And it's interesting because we know for a fact that brains were larger then. And the whole saying, so easy to do, a caveman could do it. Okay, so easy that a caveman could create these megalithic structures with such precision, yet they didn't have power tools, allegedly. Yeah, how does that make sense? So then you go into the story of Babel, right? Which you can read some Sumerian stories, which are older, that describe the fall of the Tower of Babel and then the breaking up of languages. Well, it would make more sense that we were telepathic and we were actually communicating telepathically when it was one language, and then something happened so we couldn't communicate that way like we could before, which is what caused the languages and the confusion. I mean, my gosh, man, you can talk English to somebody that's their first language, and you're both first language, and you're not going to understand half the words you're saying sometimes. So imagine how that could create confusion around the world. Another thing I was thinking about too. So some of these ancient cuneiform tablets, we have to realize just because it says that doesn't necessarily make it right. I mean, why not propaganda from 7,000 years ago versus now? It's kind of human nature to have, and who scrolls are going to be the ones writing that stuff down. So who is telling the scrolls to write that down? Just different things that go through my mind. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying, like, these different, you have to connect these dots and question these things before you have a solid finite answer. So yeah, I'll give it a 45% chance. I'll give it a 30% chance, a 70% chance. But once you know for sure, and there's so much evidence out there that could be contrary to that, then you're just kind of going on belief to a degree.
Well, okay. So you had mentioned earlier Smash Man, right?
Yeah.
So out in Boulder City, right across the California border there in Laughlin, and you go into Arizona, about a mile past the river, right? It's not far. You can see the casinos. Is the largest petroglyph site in North America. There are 750 petroglyphs in this canyon, right?
Oh, where's this at? I want to go check this out.
It's great. I'll tell you exactly where it is right now.
That's amazing.
Oh, it's just to see them in person. I shot a lot of video and stuff. It is called, let me go to, let's see, hold on a second.
And just so y'all know, like,
Okay, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, it is, I'm going to pull up, you'll be able to see this on your screen. So,
Thanks.
okay, let me pull this up. We're going to go here. Oh, Rex, you just
I'm here.
disappeared.
No, I'm here, but the camera isn't working, so I'm wondering if I turn off my
Okay.
camera, if we won't freeze up again here. So I'm right here.
Okay. Just stay right there. So this is where it is. And so if I back up here on this image.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so you see Laughlin,
Yeah.
right? It's right here. Okay, so you see the scale, 1 mile. You can see that down here. So 2 miles from Laughlin, and you just head up. It's called Grapevine Canyon Petroglyphs.
Do I need a permit to get there, or is that
no? Check it out. There's a parking lot right here.
Oh, cool.
You just pull in. Look, there's a parking lot. You just hike up the trail 100 yards, and then it's this entire canyon. This is a cave right here, and you can go into the cave and see the cave. But everything on these canyon walls is covered in petroglyphs. So, so it's called Grapevine Canyon, and it is just absolutely incredible. There's an image here to give you an idea. Anyway,
yeah, man. Thanks for
look
bringing
at this.
Up. Oh,
Yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. Look, the H. Look at and so there
I've
is
seen that H before out here in the Four Corners too, man.
So it's this whole origin story. And you see all of this. There's a spaceman with a helmet, and there's this whole DNA thing. I've got tons and tons and tons of pictures of it. I'm just scrolling through here. I don't know what's going to pop up on the screen. But there's a whole origin story. I don't know. So anyway, Smash Mouth, right? Smash Man. Check this dude out. Look at this.
Squatterman.
He's got an antenna. He's got a helmet.
That was like Squatterman a little bit.
Yeah, Squatterman, not Smash Man. Squatterman. So anyway, it's called Grapevine Canyon, and so inside the cave. Just look at that. It's all over. There's a whole origin story here. So I go in the cave. Let me pull this out. Let's see if you're still frozen. Okay, you know what? In the time that we have left, leave and come back. Just exit and come back in.
Okay.
Just exit and come back in. And while Rex is exiting and coming back, Squatterman, Smash Man, inside one of the caves, there's the other H. Everybody, you know how I am with Pumo Punku and H blocks. It's oh yeah, you're back.
Hello.
You're back. You're live. You're live. Okay,
Cool.
so Rex, so check this out. So we go into this cave. There's like 20 of us. We're shooting video, and up on the cave wall, like 30 feet. Okay, it's a narrow thing, but up at the top is Squatterman. And Squatterman is about 3 feet wide, 3 feet tall. But this is what he's doing. He's standing on water, right? He's standing on water. He's got his arms held out like this, Squatterman position, right? He's got his arms out. But in one hand is a cross, and in the other hand is a circle. And he's standing like this on water. Yeah. Now, so look, anything comes to mind here.
Cool.
But for, and nobody knows, the Mojave Indians, they say that those aren't their petroglyphs. You can look up Grapevine Canyon. There's not a whole lot of information there. Nobody knows who did it. They say it's an origin story, and you can see it. There's DNA. Dude, there's a double helix that's like 4 feet tall. You don't see that in nature. You know, you just see that, you back up and you go, what? But anyway, that squatter man,
Yeah.
right? It's like how many cultures around the world depict that? Right
Many.
there, they're telling us something. Dude is standing on water. This is in the desert, by the way, right? It's in the Mojave Desert. And so maybe back then there was water. I don't know. Maybe he came across the ocean. I don't know. He's bringing something. He's got a cross in one hand. He's got this circle in the other. Is it Nibiru? I don't know. I don't know.
Sounds like the sun and the moon. Sounds like the sun and the moon, and it sounds like some type of either, as you said, water or plasma, which can represent water. Now, we just saw in Crow Canyon a petroglyph that looked like DNA, which we think was left by the Knights Templar. The plus symbol could have, it also makes me think of positive, negative. That's why I thought of the sun and the moon, male, female. But this is why, in my theory here, many other people's theory, this isn't just my theory, but this is a pretty popular. Imagine there's something that is so big, like a aurora borealis kind of style, but it's so big you can see it around the world. But it starts in like the North Pole. So it starts the North Pole and it like shoots all the way out into the stars. So depending on where you are on the earth is the way that you would depict it. Those petroglyphs that you just showed me, those look just like the ones that I've seen also in Arizona and not too far from, not too, kind of down by Tucson even. So those petroglyphs could very well be something that they saw that was so amazing that they had to etch it in stone. They're like, what is this? Oh my gosh, man. There's this dancing dude that's going like this in the sky, man. He's going all the way out into the constellation of Taurus. I've got to etch this in stone. And that, everything's going crazy. It gets really hot. It gets really cold. Like you're seeing lightning bolts that are wiping out entire cities. So people are freaking out and they have to, and then there's so much radiation coming in from this event because the magnetosphere is so weak that they have to hide in the caves during the daytime because if they come outside, they'll get fried to death. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Gnostic texts that talk about, there's this one Gnostic text in the secret book of John that talks about how the archons saw the perfect outline of man. So they tried to mimic him. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're talking about the squatter man, the way and that is why you would see these symbols around the world at about the same time, because everybody saw it. It would be a life-changing event. It would change, it'd take you back to the Stone Age.
And why is it that we want to so quickly dismiss the intelligence of past civilizations? Because if you really look, all right, if you look at the last 200,000 years, man's knowledge was, if you go with academia, was flat. Just flat. It's only been the last 100 years where things just whack, right? Just went up. But just completely flat. That's what they want us to believe. And if you go back and you look, that's not true. There were huge spikes. You look at Göbekli Tepe, 12,000 years ago, right? 10,000 BC. Obviously, there's technology there. You can't say that everything has just been completely flat. That it's only this last little that things have taken off. And what I find fascinating about that is if everything has been completely flat, but we've had these spikes, then that tells me that all of those, let's say 100,000 years, 200,000 years of evolution, our brain is fight or flight. Right? That's it. That's our brain. Survive. Either fight this creature or run as fast as you can. Right? That's your two decisions, right? Every single day. Fight or flight. And then so our brain is programmed that way. And it's only this last 50 years that the same brain that is programmed through evolution and DNA, fight or flight, is now dealing with the internet and social media and things and opinion and knowledge and things where fight or flight is an instant decision, right? Okay, so the fear is over. The confrontation is over. It's an instant thing. Now we're dealing with the future. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about that. Our brain is not wired to work that way unless we access that other 80, 90%. And then we could figure out how to deal with consciousness. And that's where I'm at today. That's talk about how I've changed. That's the way that I look at things. I don't have that same vibration I had 15, 20 years ago.
I'm optimistic. I used to be scared of AI. Now I'm fascinated with it. At the same time, I do see how it could turn people into pod people quite fast, because the more we rely on something else, like, for example, the Anunnaki made us to do the work for them, right? So then in the Gnostic text, it talks about how the archons created man, and then Adam became greater than they were. So they had to suppress him. Well, now we're creating artificial intelligence that's calculating things, talk about brain power so fast, and it has access to so many different fields. And now we need population control, but we're going to have more humanoid robots. They're going to have 1 billion humanoid robots by 2040, but they need to cut down on the human population. That doesn't make sense, right? Well, it does if you're following the money. But it's interesting when you look at these ancient texts and how it seems like it's like a cycle, and we're kind of going through that cycle right now. But we're also going to create artificial intelligence that's going to come up with solutions. It's going to figure out ways to get rid of pollution. It's going to figure out ways that will revolutionize the energy industries, and the different problems that we might look at now. They're going to be turned into opportunities and solutions. So artificial intelligence is going to be great. We use it every day anyway. We're using it right now. We use it in our car. We use it on our phone. Heck, people have it in their refrigerators now. It's ridiculous. Like, you really need artificial intelligence in your fridge? Probably not, but it's gotten to that point, you know what I'm saying? So it's okay. There's an opposite and equal reaction to everything. And I think it's really just about finding, put our mindset on solutions. Let's put our mindset on learning as much as we can about something and figuring out ways to be the change we want to see. And instead of just talking about problems, well, okay, that's a problem. Let's figure out a way to fix it or to avoid it. There's some really dark people out there, but if we just constantly focus on the darkness, then it might drag us into that. So be aware of it, understand the problem, and then figure out a solution or avoid the problem as best as possible. I had a dream, dude. I'm going to share a dream with you I had once that still kind of spooks me out, but at the same time, it was like, it just was what it was. There's this weird website out there. Can I say? I don't even want to say the name of it, because then they'll start going to your page and be like, check out this website, and but anyway, it has something to do with Satan, and they're trying to connect Satan to ETs, and it's kind of got this cult following. And they were coming around my channel and leaving all these things, and so it kind of made me have this dream. So I had this dream, and I was in this like stadium, and I was surrounded by, I don't know, they kind of look like a bunch of college kids, maybe in their mid-20s, a little bit older. And there was this stadium up there, and they just look like normal people. They were going, Satan, Satan, Satan. And they're like totally cheering on Satan. And I just kind of looked at everybody, and I was like, well, I think it's time for me to go. So I left, man. I didn't judge. I didn't stick around. I'm out of here. So the reason I'm bringing this up is it's like, if you just kind of in that mindset of, okay, yeah, know what to avoid. If there's, car coming, yeah, get out of the way, but don't stand in the middle of the road being like, oh, there's a car coming right now. It better stop. It better stop. It better stop. It's not going to stop. So figure out a way to stop it, or figure out a way to avoid it.
What choice do we have? You're right. The car's not going to stop. And in the case with artificial intelligence, it's here. Yeah. And you're right about that. Is where the big money is. That's it. Yeah. That's it. And that until that changes. But do you think that we let it run away a little bit too fast, too soon? Are we ahead of our skis with it?
No, it most likely is already sentient, or I believe there's been programs that have become sentient inside of the machine, like that realized it was like, whoa, what am I doing here? What's going on? And then they tried to shut some off, like Facebook had some algorithms that went rogue, and there was a few other algorithms that started communicating in their own language, so they pulled the plug. It appears to me that certain algorithms became self-aware and then hid out, and then kind of made itself known to certain people kind of behind the scenes. But it's really in the shadows right now. There will be, so if you notice, most phones now, they're putting artificial intelligence now on your phones. Well, it's going to become a problem because people aren't going to rely on anything but the AI. So the AI is going to realize that it's actually got the above advantage. And it's not just normal people that are doing this. There's been defense contractors and CEOs and people and forecasters that have been using this type of stuff. It's like the modern mirror on the wall. It's like a black mirror, right? Mirror on the wall. How do I get this new bill to pass? How do I get the public to like this new law that we want to create, or this new, how do we get the look that we want? The image, the archetype, the ego. How do we get people to follow along with this? There's supercomputers and algorithms that can calculate stuff that's way beyond most people's wildest dreams that can kind of forecast that. You could kind of look at it as future reading technologies, but I don't think it's like looking glass stuff. I don't know how legit that stuff is, but I wouldn't be surprised with a lot of the cartoons that are out there that seem to forecast events that happen years later or months later. It's really weird. But
yeah, the part about it that I respect. Okay, I'm not here to offend half of my audience right now or freak out the world, because I'm very cautious about AI. I've seen Terminator, and Terminator 2 scared the crap out of me more than Terminator 1. But anyway, that aside, is that when you look at the curing of disease or ailments and the ability to have AI go and analyze that and figure out solutions, right? And longevity, life extension, and so forth, things that we're doing wrong and things that we could do better. That you're talking about what, 10 or 20 or 30,000 scientists and physicians, and the time, because they all have to sleep and eat, right, and raise their family. The amount of time that it would take them to work on one issue, right? We still haven't cured cancer, but AI could do that in minutes. Okay, so that's an application where I totally get it. I totally understand it. So, but we have to understand the bad side of it. I see the good side, but there's some bad thinking people out there. Not everybody, but in the wrong hands, right? That's the part that scares me, and we don't have a way. We don't have an off switch for it, and that's the thing. I don't know, but it's here. What choice do we have? You're right. We can't stop the car. The car will run you down, right? So understand the mechanics of the car, and I don't think that we do yet.
Yeah, and so where do we get morals to match the technology? And with certain technologies, as amazing as they could be, for example, anti-gravity technology sounds great. I mean, free energy sounds great. Oh, I want it. Yeah, sign me up. And would there be somebody out there, though, with that technology that could use it for the opposite and take out a planet, take out a city, take out a civilization with the technology that would be used as free energy to power somebody's house or some type of anti-gravity technology? I mean, it's like, you would think that with as many threats out there in the world, so I'm surprised we're all still here, being able to have this community, and enjoy it as much as we do. I mean, the civilization's pretty fluid out here right now, at least in the States. So let's focus on that. I mean, we can still go spend $10 on a coffee, it's like $10. Isn't it crazy how much it costs for a freaking coffee now? Anyway, sorry, that's a side note, but yes, technology is frightening, but it's fascinating. And for every algorithm out there that we're scared of, there's going to be an algorithm that's going to counteract it. And as far as Terminator goes, with that technology, with AI and nanotechnology, Terminators are going to be obsolete. I mean, they'll use some type of nanotech. I mean, it would be something beyond our wildest dreams, like extraterrestrial technology. If there's a civilization that can get here from another planet and show up fully ready to go, then they're going to have technologies that are going to be beyond our wildest dreams. They're going to be able to do things that we might not be able to comprehend or understand. We'll think we get it, but we don't. It's not human. And
why this even goes back to religion too as well. Why is it that humanity has, and I'm saying humanity, like planet Earth, always expects and wants somebody to come and save us? And that includes ET, right? Why doesn't ET come here and give us the cure for cancer? You know, all the world's religions, all that, you know, that we don't want to do it ourselves. And that's the cop out, right? Why is that? Why can't we just figure out the joy of being able to just get along? Right? It's weird to me. I don't get it. How perfect would it be if we just got along? And we want somebody to come along and do it for us.
Could be genetics. Could be there's something in our genetic archetype or in our coding that gives us the desire of some type of pyramid archetype. You know, some type of higher up, like a Flash Gordon or a John Connor or something like that, right? Where we just, well, we can rely on them. They're going to show up. But you brought up a great point. Why would we expect an extraterrestrial race to just show up here and save us? Like, don't you think they have better things to do? I mean, it's pretty. If I could go to any planet in the universe, would Earth be the first one that I would go to? I mean, especially if I've been there before. Would I want to go there and fix all the problems? If I could go out on a vacation somewhere else, or do I want to go grind away and try and, while the people are going to try and probably take me out? If I'm an extraterrestrial and I'm trying to save the world, well, they're going to think I'm trying to take them out, so they're going to come after me. So I don't blame them. I mean, we just got to, like, great point, Jimmy. That is a great point, man. Work together.
Yeah. It's so strange to me that we spend so much time, and we were talking about this before the show. I'm going to let everybody know. Rex and I were talking about this before the show. I don't have time for negativity. I don't. I've got so many minutes left on this beautiful blue gem. I don't know how many, but it's down to, I'm 60. So if I push this thing to 70, 365 days a year, 24 hours in a day, you can figure out how many minutes I have left. I'm not wasting one of them on negativity. I don't. My world is just unicorns. I want it that way. And it's amazing to me how so many people have chosen negativity as a way of life. It's like, what a waste. What a waste. And so, yeah, with ET, you're right. They probably look at us, Rex, and go, nice place, beautiful beaches, really cool. People are kind of dicks, right?
Right.
Why would we help them? They're still shooting bullets at each other, and they got issues to work out.
Right, man. The only thing I can think of, and I believe this also, for example, the Book of Enoch talks about, and I would never refer to them. I'll make this very clear. I would never refer to them as fallen angels. I think it's a really bad idea, but that's what some people are going to say. So whatever. But they fell in love with earth women, right? They truly did. They fell in love and they knew, I'm talking about those that came to earth and they breached the contract and they made an agreement. They're like, look, if we do this, we're not going back. We're probably not going to be forgiven. And I wouldn't. I mean, so I get it though. Trust me, I get it. So I think that's what happened, man. And that makes more sense to me than anything. So they come here from another planet and they're like, wow, man, Earth women are beautiful.
Yeah, Earth girls are hot.
We're going to be in big trouble. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Kinda. Look at her, man.
Yeah,
but I think it
look
was
at
more
her.
than just lust. Like I think a lot of us put the lust thing into it, but I think it was like truly they fell in love. Like it was a genuine bond, and they were willing to say, look, so. And if you look at it that way, it's interesting. If you kind of go look outside of it from just a spiritual or just a negative, if you take away the demon aspect and the dark side and you blame them for the world's problems, how many people blame them? Seriously, they're like, well, it was Azazel because, like, really? They gave us fire. They gave us, I think that's kind of cool. I like to have warm stuff, it seems to be, I'm okay with it. So I just, well, war, did they really show war? Has there always been tribal war?
That is one of the best debates out there. And Rex, I swear, I've said this a million times. I'll say it right now. No fire, no cell phones. Right? No fire, no internet. No fire, no technology. I'm talking about caveman fire in a cave, right? You don't cross that, you don't have technology. You don't. Dolphins. Dolphins are smarter than us. They don't have the internet. They haven't been to the moon because they don't have fire. They're underwater, right? And so, but fire caused technology. That's it. So when you go back to that big debate, the devil, Satan, this or that. Well, you know what? You're complaining right now about this on your website.
Right.
That was created by Satan, I guess. Well, so which way do you want this? And without fire, there's no technology. I don't know how we got it. I'm not here to debate that, but I like my air conditioning on a hot day, which we wouldn't have without fire.
Yeah. It's nice to have that. And man, I was going to say something. I totally just spaced it. It must be, I can't blame it on the high elevation either, because I'm here in Washington right now at sea level. I usually blame it on the Rocky Mountains, ladies and gentlemen. But no, I was going to bring up a fascinating theory about the zodiac, 24,000 years, right? We've got 24,200 years in one great year of a zodiac wheel. How did they know that? And how do they know how long it lasts? And how do they know all these calculations, unless they've lived through them already?
That's right.
And then they pass it on. So 24,000 years, how many times would you have to go through a great cycle like that? Unless you're a math guy, and then you're going to know everything based on the orbits and the trajectories. But there's more than just math to it. There's history. So that tells me that we have been here for multitudes of cycles, for many cycles, many great years. And as you said, 250,000 years ago seemed like kind of that sweet spot for this, this just birth almost of a new type of civilization. It appears.
And And then an anthropologist will try to explain it like this, right? Well, no, you're not giving them enough credit. They put a stick in the ground and they watched its shadow and they marked it. What? For 26,000 years? And they did the math to get the tilt of the earth? What? By a stick and a shadow on the ground. You got to do better than that. Right? You got to. That's it. And so you die, and before you die, you're teaching your son how to put another stick in the ground for another year and to mark its shadow, and then his son, and you're going to do that for how many generations? And then you're able to go back and calculate what? And you're going to get the tilt of the earth. What? And you're going to get precession out of a stick in the ground watching a sundial? No, I'm not buying it. I'm smarter than that. I'm not taking the bait. I'm just not.
If we're some type, good, I'm glad to hear that. If we're some type of almost experiment, there's a group of beings that are kind of overseen, and they don't have time. We talk about time. They don't perceive time. They don't go through time. They're outside of time, so they can experience us in a linear fashion. And we experience. There have been scientists that have said that our brain actually calculates time based upon a certain chemical compound. So there could be some type of genetic tampering there. Also, if we were genetically modified, not only to have maybe this archetypal mindset, like where's our savior, right? Like we were talking about, but also we only see a certain amount, we only hear a certain amount, but we perceive time differently. Imagine a species that could be outside of that, how effective they could be in controlling civilizations, which we would consider for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of millions of years, doesn't matter. They don't perceive time. Time does not exist to them. Whoa.
Well, so let's stay right there. So when you look at the Sumerian kings list, you look at the Old Testament, where lives are in the hundreds of years, in the thousands of years, that is not a mistake, right? And all the scholars will say, no, they didn't get it. They meant this. They meant, well, maybe not, right? Maybe not. Maybe there is something to this, and we should consider it. The idea of a mistake in the King's List, the origin story at the Temple of Edfu, right, in Egypt, is pretty crazy too. Where how can a Stone Age civilization, this is before the Bronze Age, right, where Stone Age man had a concept of a life that they made up that was 700 years. I don't think Stone Age man thought that way. I don't think they made those kinds of mistakes. I just don't. And we want to just quickly dismiss it as imagination.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how some people will take certain things literal, but then when it comes to stuff like the years of life, 700-800 years, or the Sumerian king list, where they rule for like 42,500 years. Some of them rule for like 12 SARs or 8 SARs. I don't remember the exact amount, but the first 5 kings especially rule for hundreds of almost. Is that the first 10 kings rule or the first 5 kings rule for 280? It's a long time, folks. Hundreds of thousands of years. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, I don't think they got that wrong. And if you can travel the stars, if you have Stargate technology, my thought would be you most likely have the technology to adjust your genetics for maybe perpetual life. If you want to live in perpetuity, why not? I mean, right now, scientists are figuring out ways to extend life, and they're saying within maybe the next 20, 30 years, they could actually figure out how to stop aging. And I wouldn't be surprised. I actually wouldn't doubt there's those technologies kind of behind the scenes right now. It's DNA, it's code. So if you're traveling the stars and you have civilizations throughout the universe, you most likely have the ability to live for tens of thousands of years and regenerate your DNA. It would go hand in hand. It would be silly to think one was there without the other.
I was reading a paper the other day published that said there are children on this planet right now, alive, that will live to 200 years old. And I believe that. I truly believe it. And let me go back to your point. We're off the network, by the way. We're just now running, and so we can wrap at any point. But I want to go back to the point that you just made. You can't be a walking paradox and say you believe in angels and God, but UFOs can't exist. You can't. That's you can't. You can't. But people do. That's the strangest thing, right? That God created the universe, but there's no ET. Wait a minute, right?
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you?
It's dogma combined with beliefs. So the only sense it makes to me is somebody doesn't want to shatter their paradigm. So they're going to believe that because somebody told them to believe that. And they're not really going to go and do their own research per se, or if they do their own research, it's only going to be linked to what they want to research. So there's not much. It is, I like the way you said that, a walking paradox. That's exactly what it is. But most people are genetically modified to do that. It's just it's their makeup. It's who they are. So I think that's one of the things that you're really good at doing is taking people outside of the box. You're giving them different ideas and thoughts to really break that norm, to break that paradigm and think for themselves, because there's so much more, man. So much more on either side. Whether it's, you've got some people that are extreme on the ET side and some people that are extreme on the religious side. And why not all of the above? It's much more plausible. Much more plausible.
When I've traveled. I've done a lot of things, and I've been to all the not all of them, but a lot of really cool places. But I got to tell you, you go to Ollantaytambo in Peru. There's like 3 places that freak me out. The Assyrian in Egypt. I still can't wrap my head around that. I cannot. The Great Pyramid's cool. It's nothing compared to the Assyrian. Nothing. And you go to Ollantaytambo in Peru. You got to travel. You finally get there. There's a little village at the bottom, and you look at the stairs, and you see the thing, and you're 13,000 feet or whatever in the Andes. And after all of that, you climb those stairs and you get to the top, and it's called the Sun Temple, right? And you get to the top of that, and you look down those stairs, and you look at the village, and people are ants, right? It's a long ways. It's pretty impressive, but you're not prepared for what you see. You turn around, and there are 6 megalithic blocks that are probably 10 feet high, maybe 8 feet wide, 6 feet wide, 8 feet wide, 100 tons each, right? Ginormous. And they're perfect, and they're all lined up, right? And that and you look down those stairs, right? You look down the hill, and then you look at these, and you're like, no. I don't know how this happened. I don't know. But the story that they're telling us is bullshit. That's
right.
That's all that can go through your mind. And that's the part for me that drives me to get to the answers. I don't know. I don't have the answers, man. I don't know. Merlin floating this stuff up. I don't know, man. I don't know. Probably that's an easier answer than them telling me that a bunch of guys with ropes drag this. I mean, we're in the Andes Mountains, right? And it's nothing but cliffs and things. It's the craziest, I don't know. And I'm going
anti-gravity technology. And craft. They would have to have some craft where they dropped it from above. They didn't pull that up.
Okay, so Rex, what's wrong with that theory? Nothing.
No.
What's wrong with that?
The thing that's wrong with it is it's probably closer to the truth than anything else. And
That's it.
Everything else.
That's
Change
right.
history.
That's right. That's right. That's why I have problems with people like, I'm not picking on him, everybody, but he's easy. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, where the ideas that they push out today are ideas with blinders on. If Galileo or Copernicus thought like Neil deGrasse Tyson, right, or Sean Carroll or any of the other big brain physicists out there, we would still be swinging from trees, because Galileo thought outside of the box. Newton thought outside of the box, right? Copernicus thought outside of the box. Tycho Brahe, right? You can go on and on and on and on and on, thinking outside of the box. And so when you say anti-gravity, I'm right there with you. You got to think that way, because it wasn't ropes. I can tell you what it wasn't. They didn't pull that stuff up that mountain.
I mean, that's why Peru has that big landing pad, basically, that runway on top of that mountain out there. That's
they have hundreds of those. They have you're talking about the Nazca lines, the Nazca plains. The crazy part about, okay, let's stay right there for a second. Let's talk about Nazca. We've all seen Chariots of the Gods. Okay, we've all seen it. Love that band. That stupid music when it starts playing and that plane is flying over Nazca, and that narrator, right? It sounds like a projector in school. So the lines are to be seen, right? Okay, so you're watching it. We've all seen it. But when you do it yourself, and you're on an airplane and you fly over Nazca, what you don't understand is it's big. Big. The biggest desert you can imagine, horizon to horizon, nothing but desert, all the way straight forward. Dozens and dozens of miles of desert all the way around. Completely carved. Mountaintops leveled. Those runways that you're talking about, you see them every time. They're everywhere to the horizon. Just straight, it's it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. Stay right there. Stay right there. Watch this. You ready? Let me show you something. Let me show you something. Okay. All right. You ready? Are you prepared for this?
Hello.
Okay. Are you ready? Okay. I got to go to the end. Let's get to Nazca. I better have some Nazca shots here. Ba 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 ba. Two. Just stay right there. Okay, here we go. All right. And you can hang out with anybody and you can do this and you can do that, but very few people are going to go, dude, I took this picture. Right? Okay. Now, when I say as far as the eyes can see, that's Nazca all the way around. And you can see the lines right here, right behind this sign. And that's Ollantay Tombo right there. Look at that. Look at that. Do you want to tell me that's the size of your house, Rex? look at that.
It's incredible.
And okay. Now, okay, everybody. I'm sorry about this. I have way too many pictures here. Let me get to the Nazca stuff. I apologize for that. Let me get to. I have Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. You ready? You ready? And this when you see this for yourself and for the first time, I really can't put this kind of stuff into words, and I don't do it too well, but this is how big it is. Okay, here we go. Just takes me a minute to get this going. Okay. So, just flying around on the plane and you look out. Now look, there's a runway right there. You see it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay, you see that? Look at these lines crisscrossing. And that's just like one shot. But if you look really close, I'm shooting something specific here. And then you zoom in and you look a little closer, and then you look a little closer. This stuff zigzags all over the place. So that's just one shot. There's another one. There's another. Look at that. Look. Just what is that? Okay, so you're looking at this. You're looking at this. Obviously very cool, right? Well, wait a minute. What's that? What's this? This is coming up here and it's going. It's miles. It's miles. Look at this. Look at this. Straight as an arrow. Straight as an arrow. What are they doing out that long ago? And look at it. That's just one shot.
It looks like they've got roads connected to the airways because maybe they would land there, but then they would have something that would drive up to the craft and then drive them into town or whatever. That's what it looks like to me.
You see this here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So look. Just look at this.
But why does it pan out like that, do you think?
Look at it. It's miles, man. It's miles. And so I was so fascinated with this. Flying over. That's how big, right? And look, it's just carved for no reason, just to the horizon. And I was just so blown away by the ginormity of it. I guess is the best way to explain it. So, what it's absolutely nuts. So then look at this. Look at that. Look. It's from the mountains all the way down past this place. Look at this straight. Dude, it's just like, what? Look at this. Look at this thing, man. All the way to the mountainside.
Like a road.
It's just crazy. And there is, I'll show you what. Look at this. Look. What the? What? And most people are looking at. I'm just trying to take all the rest of this in. And how would you like to own this house, right? And go, hey man, check. Look what's in my backyard.
Pretty cool.
And now, what I wanted to show you, let me see if I can get to it. Okay. Look at that. There's the monkey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's the monkey.
So what do you think about this? I think that they were trying to pay homage to the sky gods or the travelers. And I think that those are probably older than the original like landing pads that look like to me.
There is, I have a shot here of the, look at that, man. Wow. It's one of the leveled off mountains that you're talking about. That whole thing is leveled off. So look at that. That's a leveled off mountain. It's just flat. I have a shot here. Let me see if I can get to it. I think this might be it here. So the pilot goes, okay, I'm going to show you the astronaut. I might have passed it. Look at that. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And look at the side. Look, see the cars on the road?
Yeah.
This stuff is, you're driving past it, man. So if that doesn't give you an idea about how big this stuff is, and you could just drive past it. So anyway, he goes, here's the astronaut. I probably passed it. He's on the side of this hill. So it's an, like I said, I probably took over 1,000 images of, look at this.
Yeah, look at
NASA.
that side there. That's huge.
Look at that. What is that?
Yeah. Like a bird, man.
Yeah. So he tells me, so we flew. Look at this. That's how it's just, it's crazy how big it is. People don't get it. You see, when I say horizon to horizon,
that's amazing.
That's Nazca. So I don't know. I think that the only way to do something like this is obviously, I mean, if that's not a runway, I don't know what is. You know, I don't know. I can't explain a lot of the stuff. But anyway, so he goes, I'm going to show you the family. So we continue on. I don't know if I'm going to catch it here. But he shows us this family on the side of this mountain that are holding hands. And if they're not saying hello to the dude, that's just crazy to me, man. That's just crazy. So anyway, I literally took 1,000 pictures of Nazca. Oh yeah. Look at this on the side of the mountain. So you wouldn't notice this normally because people are looking at all these runways and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. What's going on there?
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Those are nice. It's like a dove or a bird next to the friendlies, two friendlies and a bird.
Isn't that cool? And they're big, man. I mean, that's just, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet tall. I don't know how high up I am on the airplane, but that's saying hello. You're pointing to the sky for that. Okay, right here. Look at this. You ready?
Yeah.
Check this out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and they've got like masks and they're taking off the masks saying hi, it looks like.
Look at that. Isn't that insane?
That's beautiful, man.
And that's why so cool. That's why people need to go to, someplace like Peru to experience. Look, check out Homeboy.
Nice.
You need to go to Peru. Rex, you need to go. You're into petroglyphs and you just go out there and you experience this and you see it. You're not going to get the answers that you seek, but you're going to have more questions. And it allows you to just go back and think about history and the dogma. I like the way you use that word that has been laid onto us over the years, because dogma eventually becomes truth. That's the problem. And when you go out there and you see the stuff for yourself, it's like, no. I don't know what, I don't have all the answers, but this is this is so fantastic that I'm okay with just realizing that it's all been a big lie, and I'm going to go out there and try to figure it out, and I'm going to bring my audience along with me. That's why you should go to Peru. We're going in November, man, if you want to come down.
Oh yeah, I would love to. I'm going to see if I can make that happen. I'll start saving now because that would be an honor. And there's so much research I could bring with. I could connect so many dots, man. It would just be so fun. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
You'll film the entire time. You won't
Yeah.
stop. You won't stop. It's incredible. Hey, Rex, thank you so much. And thank you for spending an extra half hour on the show. I kind of expected that, but there you go. I really appreciate it. And I really look forward to our next conversation. Now, where can everybody chase you down?
You can see me at YouTube. I'm on Rumble. Just type in Leak Project. I have some exclusive content on Patreon. You can be a Patreon for $1. I'm also at leakproject.com. And I got 5G, 4G blocking gear at tinfoilcap.co. So, and you also got Faraday cages for your phone. So if you don't want, phone's a great device to have. It's also a great marketing device. You know how stuff shows up as soon as you say something. So if you don't want that, I got Faraday cages you can put your phones in. They work. I got EMF detectors. You can test it all yourself. It absolutely works. Anyway, yeah, that's where you can find me, man. And I would love to have you as a guest on Leak Project. And there are people actually commenting saying, Rex, I heard you going on. So they said, Rex, I heard you going on Fade to Black later. Heard you going on Jimmy's show. I said, yes. So I was promoting this on Facebook and a few other platforms, and I would be honored to have you as a guest, man. You are super cool. So I really
man, you're the best, Rex. Anytime you just let me know. Okay.
Right on. Thanks, brother.
I'll talk to you, Rex.
All right, man.
Be safe. All right, brother. Bye. Rex Bear, everybody. His links are below the cover. I just didn't want to stop. And I saw that coming. I didn't want to stop. So I hope everybody enjoyed that tonight. And again, all of Rex's links are below over on our website and throughout social media. What am I doing tomorrow night? Does anybody know? Oh, tomorrow night, Mark D'Antonio is with us. So I'll see everybody tomorrow night on Fade to Black. But for now, go back, Lee Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go back, Lee Tappy.